Hey, I'm Shy Fox, and today we're going to be drawing Tiny Pikachu. I'm going to take you through this tutorial step by step so that you can follow along and draw this too, no matter your skill level. I'm going to be using Clip Studio Paint, but if you use a different art program, that's fine as well. Lots of the tools that I'm using are basic, and most programs will have them. If you've never made digital art before, you can check out my playlist with videos of what you'll need to know before getting started in digital art. Any other videos or links mentioned during this video will be in the description so that you can go back and check them at your own convenience. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more tutorials like this one and more digital art tutorials in general. I've got lots to teach so that you can improve your digital art skills. You can pause the video at any time to catch up, and you can also use hashtag #drawwithshyfox on Instagram if you want to share your work when you're done. I'll see it there, and so will the community. And speaking of community, we have a Discord that you can join and share your art there and chat with other artists. Just before we get started, I just want to note that I've reset my Clip Studio Paint program back to default settings. And I've just done that so it's going to be easier for, most people to follow along, as everything is kind of starting from the same place, and I haven't, got all these other tools and settings and things that are going to confuse you. So it just also makes it easier for me to teach. So the first thing that we're going to go do is go File, New, and 3000 by 3000 is a rather large canvas for this project, and that's fine. And then a resolution of 90 is also fine. I always like to turn on Record Time Lapse. And because I've reset to default, I suppose that was off. So let's go OK. We would like that to be on. I always just find that fun and valuable. And we're going to get started with, let's see, we have a layer ready to go. And I want to grab a pencil tool. So I'm going to grab a pencil, and I'm also not using hotkeys. This is going to feel a little different for me. For the purpose of, you'll see my cursor go everywhere, and that might make us go a little slower. Not necessarily a bad thing, since this is an in real-time tutorial. That should be fine. So I've picked pencil, and I'm actually going to sketch in a blue. All right, let's make our brush size a little bigger. How big are we? Yeah, let's do a 6. I think that looks nice, and I'm just going to clear my page so that we can start over. Now we're going to start by drawing a reasonably large circle in the middle of our canvas, and I'm remembering that I'm actually going to turn my stabilization up. I find it feels a little too quick, or the pen feels too shaky. People describe it as shaky. So I'm going to just try that again. I like a little bit more stabilization, and then I just go, when I draw a circle, I go around and around and around until it looks round, round, round. I guess that's kind of what you would expect. And then I'm going to turn down my opacity. So round, 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 turn down the opacity, and I'm looking for my Move Layer tool, and I'm just going to kind of center that because I didn't like where that was positioned. New layer again. And with that opacity turned down to 18%, this one's over top. Back to my pencil tool. That circle is just going to kind of give me a base to work from. So I'm going to draw the top of our Pikachu's head. And this is a very simplified version of Pikachu. And all I want to do is kind of, I want this body to be a little wider and then flatten out a little bit at the bottom. And then round again, but I don't want it to feel like it's square, so I still want this to feel very round. And you go ahead and do it your way. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. So kind of flat at the bottom, round and wide at these bottom corners, and then from there it kind of connects up, follows a circle shape to the top. And I've kind of left spaces implying ears are going to go there. But we can do those next. And we can do them like this. So they're kind of elongated lemon shapes is how I'm going to describe this. They obviously come to a point, but there's definitely a sense of rounding. A sense of rounded like a lemon. A long lemon. I kill myself sometimes the way I describe things. Okay, and we're gonna do rounded shape. This is a curve here at the top for the tips of the ears. Let's go ahead and do the other side. And we can angle this ear a different direction for fun. Like we could go up like that. I actually like that shape. I'm gonna do it that way. You can make yours angle differently, or it can be symmetrical if you want. Sometimes I think there's something pleasing about artworks that are not symmetrical. All right, and same thing here. One thing that you may want to look out for is making sure these ears are roughly the same size. I'm actually going to go ahead and delete my original circle layer. Delete that, and I'm gonna drag my new layer down so that my ears have some breathing room. And I would say that one of my ears does look bigger than the other. I'm gonna fix my first one. So I'm gonna look for that lasso tool. I see that I have my selection tool. Lasso tool is here. Lasso all the way around it. And so now's a good time to manipulate our ear shapes. And I'm gonna find a transform tool. There it is at the top, transform, scale, rotate. But I'm actually going to, you know, it's annoying me, this workspace. I forgot to do this at the beginning. I'm gonna make a couple changes right before we do that. I'm gonna make some of our windows disappear. So that can go away because we're working from the original Clip Studio Paint default settings, default workspace, and some of these aren't useful to me. So get rid of a bunch of these. And I like it when my layers panel is really big, so that's gonna work way better for me. I like it. And this can go down too. What even is this for? Oh, that's the animation timeline. Don't need it. Okay, great. Carrying on now, we're gonna go back to that transform. And the reason I thought of this is because this doesn't have a lot of room. I like to move my brush panel over here. Yep, so that I have more room for these other tools. Great, lasso tool. Thank you for bearing with me. Now, we are back on our scale, rotate. I like to use the free transform. This is what I was looking for, so that I can make changes to the ear shape. And I really was just looking to make it bigger and longer. And maybe, do we want to rotate it? Work on those angles. What do we think? I like that. Is it big enough? I might even go back to scale at this point and just scale it up. That feels a little more equal. In theory, you could just like copy paste, because I've almost drawn the same shape from one to the other. You could copy paste and just have them at different angles. I'm just going to take the eraser and erase in there. Make that eraser a little bigger and erase. I like that. Good. So next thing we're gonna do is some eyes. And if you look at our, I guess if you do one of these, an X. Is that an X? More like a T. You know, one of these. Artists do these all the time. If you do one of these and we look at where we want eye placement, I think I'd like to do eyes here. And I mean, feel free to do yours differently. Like put the eyeballs where you want to put them. And that's the whole point of digital art. I mean, not the point, but one of the benefits is we can undo, redo. And I personally like to grab a brush. What brush do we like? Just gonna pick a random one. Whoa, that's an interesting brush. Sure. And just kind of get that filled in there. And then I like to go to my eraser and just kind of use it to imply some highlights here. Kind of like that. And call me weird, but I like to reverse draw, and that's what I call it. Draw with some transparency. So I go to my color wheel and I pick the transparent option so I can basically erase with the pencil. So I'm going to erase with the pencil because all I'm doing is telling myself that when I get to the next stages of the art, I want to do something with that. Kind of an unnecessary step. I just always do it. Okay, do our eyes look even-ish? Even-ish is fine. And then let's do a nose. Pikachu definitely has a tiny little triangle nose. That will do. And then I want to do that W-shaped curvy mouth. And I'm gonna just kind of keep working at it till my shape looks relatively symmetrical and kind of the way that I would like that to be. Pretty good. And signature important little aspect to every Pikachu is the big red cheeks. So I'm going to emphasize those by making them rather large and cute. So those are not even. Oh dear. Let's try and make them even-ish. And our sketches literally, they don't need to be perfect. It's totally fine if they're like not even, because we can use tools to even out for our line art and whatnot. Okay, I think this needs a tail. And based on the direction of the ears, I'm thinking compositionally that our tail would look good on the right side. So if you just want to little lines out this way to get us started. And we're gonna do one going back this way. And we're gonna have this extend a little further. Like this. Like this. Kind of one line at a time. No rush here. We're gonna go back one more time on either side. And out one more time. For the big fat tail. So if you're kind of like trying to follow the shape as best as you can, I'll describe it again. So this is a really long side. I'm gonna use another color. Let's use a nice bright purpley fuchsia pink color. Okay, and so we've got long side, and then I thought it'd be good if these like curved a little, so I might go back and fix that. But anyways, so long, little curve, short. And then this angling back, it's less than a 90-degree angle if that's helpful to you. And then like this. This is wider than like this. So what we're looking for is that it gets wider as we go. But feel free to undo, redo, and try and imitate the shape. And it's kind of forgiving. You can draw this tail any which way, quite literally, you want to, okay? So I'm going to delete that layer and go back to drawing with a dark blue. I'm pretty sure this isn't the same dark blue I was using before, but we will forgive ourselves because this is just a sketch. Actually, that's pretty close. And I'm just gonna do 2 little triangles for that bottom of the tail. And we're actually not gonna add anything else. This is a simplified Pikachu, just kind of like this round ball with ears and tail, and it's just kind of cute, just the way it is. The only other thing I would like to add, and it's kind of a detailing for the background, and I'm actually gonna shrink this whole thing to make room back to our scale, and we've left this on scale, so bring that down, give us some space. I'm gonna go a little more, center it for the most part, center, and I think it would look cute if we had little thunderbolts. So a little point. And we'll do our best to kind of imply thunderbolts. Something like that. And also forgiving, these are not exact shapes whatsoever. And I'm not using a reference or anything for this, so, you know, maybe these could be better. Alternatively, sparkles are always like fantastic choice to go with these kind of little cute artwork, so you know, do whatever you want. I'm actually gonna do just the 2 thunderbolts, and I actually like the outside ones better, and I'm going to erase that middle one. I'm gonna find our selection tool, select it, lasso it, and find transform, and I would just like to move this, I think. And I'm actually going to move the other one and shrink it a bit. They don't need to be overpowering shapes, just small and cute is perfect. Whoopsies, don't crop, that's not recommended. Undo, great. Let's try that again. I was just going to scale and move them again. How do I want them? like that. That looks good. Okay, I might actually do one more. I'm still contemplating having a third one here, just like a really small one. Okay. Let's not spend too much time on that. Great. So we're gonna call our sketch done. The only other thing we're gonna end up doing is adding a shadow here, so you can just, you know, sketch a shadow in. That's sort of the concept. Next step, our sketch is all in one layer. I didn't tell you to add more layers, but if you did, now's a great time to merge them all together and turn down that opacity to roughly 20% or so, or whatever you would like. And we're gonna go ahead and, I like folders. I'm gonna make a folder for our lines. It just helps me simplify. So in our folder, we have a vector layer. This is a vector layer. If you've never seen them before, they are very useful, and in just a second, you're gonna see why. So I'm gonna select pen tool, and I find G pen to be the best. Okay, I'm totally having second thoughts about how I wanna do the line art. I've changed my mind. And this is actually a really good way for new people learning line art to do it. So I've actually found the figure tool, and through this you can find the continuous curve tool. And I'm gonna make this brush size larger. What size? I think we're gonna go for like an 8. As long as these work the same way. Is this the same? Yeah, pretty much. Undo. So I'm actually gonna make this more like a 9, and we are ready to use this. And this is nice because we click and then we just go for it. Now when we get to a corner like this, we're gonna have to do another dot right away for that to allow us to make the shape that we want to make. So a little dot. And my plan is just to use this for the outside lines only. Basically like the bordering part of the whole thing. That is my plan. And the beauty of this is we get very, very smooth, clean line art out of this. Kind of just one of those little art hacks. There's no reason you can't easily then follow your very beautiful sketch. And we'll do the same thing outlining the tail. Now when you get back to the place you started, you're just gonna, no, that looks terrible. You're just, oh no. Okay, so learning from me, it actually, you know, if you close it off and then hit undo, it's not like it'll let you undo the last point. So this is one of those times where, you know, I remember how much I haven't really used this tool and I'm doing like a really bad job of teaching you, but fortunately, hopefully we'll get it right this time. Fortunately, it's not like a crazy big deal to go around this thing, and if we're having trouble or you're having trouble still, just do some test shapes before and understand how the tool works. But if I remember correctly, and we'll fix some of the wonky shapes here, I'm just kind of going quickly. I'll show you how to do that. If I remember correctly, it would be smart of us, I know, to do a little dot nearby and then one more. Okay, that's better. And we need to find, is it the object tool? No, it is back in the figure tool. No, it is here, the correct line tool. That's it. We're going to correct our line, and we have control point selected. And instead of add control point, we can click move control point. Add control point's actually better because I can move them and add some. So I'm actually going to add one there. And I'm going to move some of these around. So this is a really handy little feature. Now I'm just going to move my lines around until they look much more like the shape I was initially trying to draw. You know, I'm probably dragging this out a little bit, literally. Is this another bad pun? Potentially. Dragging this out a little bit more than I meant to with the line art. But hey, at least maybe some of you guys will have learned a new trick, or you know, maybe our line arts will come out looking absolutely stellar. So I'm almost done. You take your time. There's no rush. I'm rushing a little because I don't want to hold you up. You guys got lives to live. Probably. Not too shabby. I'm gonna go back to my continuous curve because I forgot about the tail. I'd really like to do the same thing with the tail. Now, because of the shape that's doing, I don't like that. I have to do another dot next to it and another dot to get more of these like sharp corners. Do some experimenting. If you're new to this tool, you know, it would seem I am new to this tool, yet here I am giving the tutorial. Questionable, but we will carry on anyway. There. Oh, how do we end this line again? I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. Okay, I think I just press. Oh no, how do we end this? Double click. Okay, that's right. double tap your pen. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the pen tool and I'm gonna use a size slightly smaller than what I was using. A 6 seems reasonable, and I'm just gonna kind of pen in some of this other stuff. This stabilization seems really high. Why is it so high? Oh, that seems really low. See, you gotta play with it sometimes. Let's try 43. That's still a little high, but we can turn that down a little bit. Oh. I don't even remember what my setting was before. 40 feels not bad for me. I feel like we could go a little higher. So we are just gonna go around the rest of the image for the most part. So we're doing those lines there, the ear lines, the mouth. We can even do the nose. Whoopsies. Undo. Undo. I actually need to zoom in at this point. So where's my zoom? Oh, there we go. We are nice and zoomed in. Alright, get that to where you like it. And the eyes themselves, this is a me thing. Might not be a you thing. I think it's easier. I like to do the eyes on their very own layer. I might even like to make a folder for them all together. I'm gonna do that, make a folder. It can go on top of the other folder, and I'm gonna put a basic layer in it. It doesn't need to be vector, although it could be if you wanted it to be. And I'm going to just do these little round eyes, same size on either side, and I'm just gonna leave them like that for this moment. And I'm not gonna outline the cheeks. I don't think there's a point when I could just do red dots. That would be a lot easier. I'm going to also ignore the fact that for now we haven't outlined thunderbolts or the shadow. I think we can come back to that. So with that in mind, if we're coming back to that, it would be a good idea to keep our sketch layer. And sometimes I just like to color things and be like, yep, the yellow layer is my sketch layer. And I'm going to turn it off kind of as a reminder of what it is and where it is and not to delete it. So back to our line work folder. I want you to click it. Follow me carefully now. I want you to click your folder that has your Lineart layer or layers in it if you put them on different layers, and find the lighthouse button that says set as reference layer. Click that. And that is going to make our paint bucketing stage very simple. I am going to make a folder now below our line work layers, and very important, make a regular layer, not a vector layer, because buckets don't work on vector layers. I'm going to find myself a nice buttery yellow. I could go all the way saturated, but I'm feeling a buttery yellow for this cute little Pikachu creature. And we're going to have to check our bucket settings. What are we set to here? Refer multiple. I'm going to check that on, turn that on, and then see the lighthouse here. Click that. And we may have to mess with settings, but because our line art is so defined, we probably won't have a problem. So click and click. Fantastic. That's amazing. I love that tool. One of the best things about Clip Studio Paint all together is being able to do that. And I'm just going to take pure black, the same thing we had for our line art. Oh, you know what? We do need to fix these settings. Why? Because I can see that there's like this really, I'm going to zoom in real far. That's like real close up. Oh my gosh, but do you see this like awkward Yeah, that. So if we just up the tolerance, is it the tolerance or is it the close gap? We're just gonna play with our settings till we figure it out. You think I would know some of these things, right? Area scaling. Oh, okay. We learned a thing. I learned a thing today. Check area scaling. And then the setting it was on has worked for us. So just keep touching those settings, and every time you do line art, you'll encounter differences needed for some of those like different line arts that you got going on. So you just I usually have to change the tolerance. That's kind of what I was expecting, but we're back on the default Clip Studio Paint. So I wasn't totally sure what we'd be in for, but we managed to figure that out, and it didn't take us too long. So a little bit of trial and error. So I did those ears that are black, the tips there, on a separate layer and another separate layer. I just like to do everything that's a different color on separate layers. I'm gonna find a warm-ish brown because we've done the Pikachu body in a buttery yellow. We're gonna just kind of do what a buttery brown might look like. Okay. Now's a great time to go ahead and color our eyes in, and let's do that. And then don't let me forget, not that anyone's here with me right now, but don't let me forget to add the cheeks in. That's going to be important. So new layer above our 2 black dot eyes, and then we're going to clip it with our lovely clip to layer below button. And from here, I'm going to find, ooh, this color we're actually on right now is perfect. I'm going to find the pen tool, because I like how opaque the pen tool can color when I want it to. I'm just gonna do like a bubble here. Nice little bubble. And that is such a nice bubble, but I need to make it bigger. And I like that bubble so much that I'm gonna go layer, duplicate. I'm gonna find my move layer button, move it over. Ooh, symmetry. They are the same. Fantastic. And I'm actually going to merge these down because they are the same. Not into the eye layer. I don't want to do that. They're still on their own, but they are together because when you duplicate a layer, it becomes a whole new layer. Speaking of new layer, make new layer. Above all that, clip it again to the layer below. I'm going to find a white color on my color wheel and make my brush bigger. I'm gonna do a dot. The main highlight, the main eye highlight, kind of large there, and I'm gonna do a small one next to it, kind of between where these two meet, but not touching them. I like that. So that's pretty good. One more fun little thing we can do, kind of optional. If you want to go simpler, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to create a new layer. And this is just maybe something I think that looks good, but we're going to click on the where it says normal. I want to change this to add glow. And I like this bright orangey warm color again. And I'm going to find the airbrush tool. Soft is fine, and then make this a little bigger. Ooh, and just on the bottom part of the eye only. Don't do the whole thing, just the bottom. And then you may want to slider this on the opacity up and down, how strong you want that to be, because there is a point where it's like definitely too much. So right about there looks beautiful. Pikachu, you are a beautiful today. Okay, so back to our other layers of colors. The eyes, I'm going to call them done. I'm even going to close this folder. You could name it eyes, just so we're knowing what that is. So my color folder here is missing one thing. I'm going to add that in. New layer. We need the bright red cheeks we talked about. And again, I'm going to choose a lighter, more pastel color of, you know, what we have to work with, and gonna choose this kind of color for a red. Ooh, looking good, Pikachu. And roughly the same size. Yep, good enough. And you could also make them smaller or wider or whatever. So the next thing we're gonna do, leaving our cheeks as they are, that's fine. We're gonna find our yellow, buttery yellow layer, and right above it, we're gonna add a layer, clip it on, and we're gonna look for a nice warm orangey color. And we are gonna find our pen tool again, because we're gonna have solid coloring in. We're gonna solidly color in, is what I'm trying to say. This is a bit strong of a yellow, or buttery, not buttery yellow, dark yellow, like a caramel color. That's fine. I'm just gonna slider this up and down till I like it a little bit more. And I'm just curving along the bottom, following the shape. And that's all I'm doing. That is all we're doing. And similar to that, I would say we're gonna do that on the tail. This might seem a little abstract, but we're just gonna draw a U shape and then color that in. Let's see how that looks. Actually, that works. I wasn't totally expecting that to work. It works well enough. That's fine. Okay, and I'm actually gonna follow this shape along up and around Pikachu's head, and this leaves an awesome opportunity for us to do like another U shape here. And this just looks cute, I think. I guess that's the goal. Cute. Achieve cuteness. Great. And if you want to, we could do a cute little buttery yellow, just that much more buttery and light colored. Like a shine on his little head and a shine on the ears. Might even do another dot there. Can you even see those? Can you see them? And then we're gonna do a little shine there. They're just really faint. Now, if you decide, I drew all my little bubbles, but I can't really see them or they're not the right color, find yourself the Lock Transparent Pixels button, click it, but you make sure you're on the layer you're intending to work from. Go back to your color palette after that's turned on, and you can change it to the color in the color palette you want. Find your pen tool. I make my brush size bigger to go over top, and then I just kind of color over everything, or you could like hack and basically click fill and it changes the whole layer. Like for example, black, click fill and it changes everything, but I'm gonna undo that. Fantastic. Now, do we have anything left to color? One final step that I think looks nice. I'm gonna click on my Pikachu buttery yellow layer. I'm gonna make a layer. This will end up in between the shadow layer and the current layer that we are working from. And I'm gonna eyedropper the original yellow we had, and again take a nice lighter yellow. And I'm gonna find my airbrush, and I just really like gradients, so I'm gonna find a bigger brush than what we have here. Why are all the default brushes maxed out at 100? I am confused. I am confused about this. But we can go higher, can't we? Oh no. It's gonna mess with my plan. That's okay. Did you catch that? Did you see what I did? I'm really confused why the brush sizes are not going higher than 100. Leave it to me to figure out for later. Okay, I'm just gonna undo that and explain what I did. Regardless of the size of my airbrush, this is gonna be the same step. So find your airbrush, and you can lightly kind of go out from the middle of the face and towards the top of the head. It should be really subtle but noticeable. And then the tips of the ears, we're doing a little bit there, and the tip of the tail. So if you turn the layer on and off, you can see the subtle difference. And that's all we're doing for that. One final step with our line work, and this is another optional step. I mean, I guess all of this is optional. You can do whatever you want. But we're gonna click our line work layer, the one that we did for the, well, I guess it's all on one layer, but particularly the continuous, we did the border. So find the line art with the border, and we're gonna go layer, duplicate, and I'm gonna literally drag this, click it, drag the duplicated version all the way down. Are we at the bottom? Yeah, we're above the sketch, so that's fine. I'm gonna take it out of the color folder just because. And I'm gonna find a tool over here called Operation and just make sure it's on Object And then from here, you can change the brush size. We're just gonna start clicking the arrow upward. How far are we going? I'm just gonna hold it down. I just really like to thicken up the borders. Let's go for like 20 in this case. 20 looks good. I like the thickness of that. Nice and thick for our chubby Pikachu. Speaking of thickness, I'm looking at it now, and to kind of go with the whole idea here, it would look nice if our mouth was a little thicker too. So we're gonna go ahead and just thicken that up to our liking. 10 looks fantastic. We're gonna leave her there. And now for some final touches, I'm gonna do a new layer for kind of those background elements. So the first thing is, let's add a background color. You can add whatever color you want. I'm feeling, where on the color palette? Ooh, this purpley color looks great. Ooh, problem though, do make sure that it is your bottommost layer besides your sketch, which is turned off, so that doesn't matter. But see my border, that's below my new background, so that's a problem. So drag that upward, and I can see, actually looking over my layer panel, that my background would be better if I actually clicked this button. This fills the whole page no matter what, regardless of what my fill bucket settings are, which is still set to reference layer, which is why it didn't fill the whole page technically. So anyway, fill at the top of the page is great. Do I like this purple? Ask yourself, do you like the color you've chosen? If not, fix it. I'm just playing. I like this purple. Might even go slightly darker. And there, I'm happy with that. I'm gonna create a shadow. So I'm gonna go new layer. I'm gonna be really lazy, and I'm gonna find the shape tool. Where is my lovely shape tool? It must be in the line work. Yes, it is, or in the figure tools with the lines. I'm gonna find ellipse, and I'm gonna set this to just a darker purple, and click. Whoa, the lines on this are really thin. Really thin, so let's thicken that up. Undo and try again. Does that look good? And I'm just gonna move it. Grab my little cursor, my little move layer tool. There. And from here, I'm gonna just set this as the new reference layer. So now our paint bucket is referencing this layer, and we can just fill it in. I didn't make it a vector layer or anything, so that's no problem. Just fill it in, and that's my little shadow. And now to draw the little thunderbolts, I'm gonna drag our sketch layer up and turn it on. It's behind everything except for some of our background stuff we've been doing, just because I'm gonna try and do these little thunderbolts, which are slightly tricky maybe. And I'm gonna turn down that opacity a touch more, and I'm gonna make a layer right on top. In this case, vector makes sense because it's a specific like shape we're going for, and I gotta move us over to here where we're looking at our thunderbolts, and I'm gonna use another yellow. I don't know what yellow I want yet, so I'm just gonna kind of eyedropper one of the yellows off Pikachu. And in this case, why not use that same tool we used? I don't see why not. Our curve tool. So find your curve, continuous curve again, and you might need to reduce brush size depending. And here we go. Click, click, kind of at the corners, click, click, to get the shape you want. Whoop. Play with it a bit, and I'm gonna end that there. Do all of them. Careful when you click too close, because you'll actually end your line altogether because it thinks you're double clicking to end. So there definitely needs to be a little bit of space for it to acknowledge that you are continuing your line, not ending it. So you might have to zoom in depending. And if you're doing stars instead, do stars. That looks a little wonky at the end there, so I'm going to go back to my here it is, correct line tool, and just fix up one of the lines. That looks so wonky. Why does this look so funny? It's fine. Nobody's gonna care that much. It's fine. Perfect. And from here, I'm gonna also set this as the new reference. Because I made this vector, I can do two different things. I'm gonna do the method in which I turn this into a raster layer. So click layer, and our vector layer is gonna be, oh, that was not the button I meant to press. Undo. Layer should be here somewhere. Radarize. Did it radarize? It radarized. Great. Now I can fill bucket in this because that's all I want to do. Now make sure you do turn off your sketch layer, or there might be some unintended sketches left over. I'm just going to delete it. And here we are. So there you have it. Our Pikachu is done. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thank you for drawing with me. I've got lots more tutorials like this on my channel. Be sure to like and subscribe if you had fun with this. And I would love it if you could share it with me, what you created on social media. You can do hashtag #drawwithshyfox, and that's 2 X's by the way, on Instagram. And you can also share with me on Twitter or wherever, and I would love to put it on my story, etc. Is that everything? That's everything. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and hope to see you in another digital art draw along tutorial or another kind of art tutorial from my channel. Take care guys. Have a good one.